Hey yo everybody, welcome back to another guide brought to you by your friend Lestion. Today we are diving into the latest Freeman menace to hit the battlefield, Falenia. Grab your snacks, sit tight and let's jump straight into it. Falenia is a Freeman range sentinel unit. She is mainly focused on support abilities and is the first unit to have a transform cleanse ability. She has decent base attack and a lot of HP. But let's break down her abilities to understand her better. Abilities. Ability 1. On spawn grants an ability to the ally commander. End of turn and when Falenia attacks, applies Transform Cleanse to all allies transformed this turn. This is a brand new ability called Transform Cleanse. There isn't much to explain here. It does exactly what it sounds like. It restores transformed units back to their original forms. It has two triggers, at the end of the turn and whenever Falenia attacks. This ability is added to your commander's skill, meaning it will continue working even after Falenia dies, gets transformed, or it's suppressed. Even if Falenia gets transformed, she'll simply return to her original form at the end of the turn. And if she is suppressed, she will still remain being Falenia, so the ability will continue triggering every time she attacks. This means you will have a permanent transformer counter for the entire battle. Just remember that in order to Falenia triggers Transform Cleanse by attacking, she needs to land a successful attack in order to activate it. Meaning, if she is blinded or hit an holographic enemy, nothing will happen. Ability 2. On spawn and before attack, transform allies into cocoons. Why? Well, think of it as putting them inside a recovery chamber. At first, this might sound like a disadvantage, but it's actually a good thing when you consider all the debuffs currently in the game. Thanks to her first ability, they'll eventually return to normal anyway, so they won't stay cocoons forever. As I mentioned before, Transform Cleanse restores them to their original form, meaning your units will be cured from suppression also, and practically every other debuff or buff. It's almost like summoning them all over again. You'll have two options when you summon her. You can summon her to the right of your allies or to the left. Why does it matter? If you summon her on the right, your units won't attack that turn, because they'll spend their action as cocoons. But if you summon her on the left, they'll immediately be cleansed and will still be able to attack. Of course, this only applies on summon. On the following turns, only thing that happens is that units on her left will attack before Falenia cocoons them. So, always to the left, right? Well, not exactly. Keeping your units from attacking can actually become a strategy against Bernice. If they don't attack, they can get burned. So placing your units in the correct positions is another thing you'll need to think about. There's even the option of placing Falenia in a position where she prevents the units on her left from attacking while allowing the ones on the right to do so. This becomes a really strong mechanic against Bernice. You can intentionally stop your weaker attackers from triggering burn, letting your stronger damage dealers survive long enough to attack, while also protecting your left side units from dying burn damage. Once again, this strategy only applies when Falenia is summoned. On the next turns only means units on the left won't be cleansed before attacking, but units on the right will. You can also maintain your Falenia to the right, so all your units will be cleansed at the end of turn. It will honestly depend on your current situation. Ability 3. Transform or Transform Cleanse trigger gains attack. If the target was an ally, Falenia increases their attack and HP by 50% of her own attack and HP respectively. This means the more units you transform and transform back, the more attack Falenia gains, and the stronger your allies become every time they return to their original forms. Okay, let's explain it a bit slower. First, Falenia gains attack every time a unit is transformed or restored. Then, when your units return to normal, they receive extra attack and HP based on Falenia's newly buffed stats. In other words, every cycle makes everyone stronger. Keep it in mind, this ability also triggers when your units are transformed, meaning their transformed forms also receive stats from Falenia. In this case, they only receive their HP of Falenia. This ability reaches its maximum values at Reborn 7, but the best part of all this is that Falenia can work in higher leagues even in Reborn 4. Only issue will be the stats given to your units, but hey, above is above. From my point of view, she is perfectly fine at Reborn 5. But don't get me wrong, the stat difference between Reborn 5 and Reborn 7 is huge. It's just that Reborn 5 already provides really strong buffs. Reborn 7 is honestly just overkill in most situations. Outfit ability. On ally death once per turn, applies antidote to all allies, including the commander. Finally, another commander cleanse ability. The ability we have all been waiting the most right now to heal our commander from the burn of Bernice. Although it's hard to trigger since your units will get constantly buffed, you can always force the death of one of your units to make it happen. Honestly, a really good ability if you master it. Combos. You can play Falenia with all the commanders as she is a support unit, but some commanders simply have better synergy with her than others, especially the ones that already have transform abilities in their kits, like Roxy, Cyrex, and Elaine. Out of these three, Elaine is currently the best choice, because she can protect Falenia by placing her behind Elaine's model and she also gives your commander resistance. She also has the easiest AoE transform ability to trigger, allowing Falenia to stack attack much faster. Cyrex comes next. Her AoE ability is also easy to trigger, but it's on turn 5, and it requires you to play a half or full poison comp. Then we have transform units. Falenia benefits from additional sources of transform because they allow her to gain even more attack. However, since the current transform units only target one enemy at a time, they aren't mandatory. The only combo really worth mentioning here is Shelby, but only if she's behind Elaine's model, so she doesn't get transformed by Falenia's ability. If done right, Shelby would get a lot of multi-attacks really fast. then we have multi-summon units like River, Arachne, or even Dominica at lower levels. This combo will allow you to transform more units in the shortest amount of time possible, allowing you not only to get more attack buffs to your Falenia, but more stats to your units. Replica units like Mitsuki and Naomi. Same idea here, more units equals more stats. And if you add Bernice to this combo, you'll not only have buff units but more units to attack the commander and trigger Born in the process. In this case works best if Falenia is on the very left. Attack buffers. Although Falenia will earn a lot of attack every match, more attack won't hurt. Especially at the beginning of the match where you have less units. This also means even more attack to your units. Health buffers. Since Falenia can only increase her own attack, any ally that boosts her HP is always welcome. So your units get even more HP after being transformed back to their original forms. Just be careful if you get burned, cause burn benefits from HP increasing. Cleanse units like Cinta and Torre especially. Although Falenia can cleanse all your units, she can do it with herself, so she needs another source of antidote. Counters. Configuration abilities like Lola or Morana. She is really easy to kill with these two units, especially Lola since she can buff her own HP. Suppression units. Of course, suppression won't stop the first ability of Falenia, but it will work to stop all the cocoon madness and buffs. Holographic and blind units. As I explained before, if Falenia can land a successful attack, she won't be able to trigger her Transformed Cleanse ability when she attacks, meaning the units on her right won't be able to attack in this turn neither. It won't stop the cycle, but at least you can survive more turns. Indirect damage like Infection, Poison, Burn, or Pure Damage abilities. As I mentioned before, she doesn't have an antidote ability that can cleanse herself, so these abilities will do the job, especially the ones with high damage values. Stun units. If she can attack, she can even transform her allies into cocoons. Attack and HP reduction units. The less stats she has, the less buffs her allies will get. Androids. Best androids for her will be Chloe for extra health on summon, Ruby for more attack on summon, and Ursula to get free antidote every turn. Relationship stats. At GM League at level 20 we can see Falenia will get an extra 68 attack and 358 HP, some really good extra buffs that fits perfectly her playstyle. Then from level 21 to 30 we can see only her third ability will get extra buffs. At level 30 she will earn extra 22 attack buff value, making a total of 177 attack buff value at max level. These extra buffs might seem small, but since they are applied every time Transform or Transform Cleanse is triggered, they stack incredibly fast. Just 10 triggers already means an extra 220 attack. Comps. Let's start with any lane comp. Falenia's core shall be for the combo, Sky and Nona for surviving, Cinta for cleanse, and the last 3 units depend on the current meta. You can choose multi-summon units, buffers, or simply fill the remaining slots with strong attackers like Esther and Agret. Bernese comp, Falenia Mitsuki River or Arachne, and Cinta for cleans. These three are the only core units for Falenia's combo with Bernese. You can even choose to run 2 multi-summon units, so the last 4 or 5 units will depend on the meta. But Sky and Nona are a must right now against all the Berneses out there. Final thoughts. If units had difficult ratings from 1 to 5, I'd easily give Falenia a 5. Not because her abilities are difficult to understand, but because getting the most out of her requires really smart positioning. Falenia isn't one of those units you can just throw into any spot and expect miracles. She really rewards smart positioning and careful planning, but once you get the hang of her, she becomes an incredible support unit that can completely shut down transform strategies while making your entire team stronger. Personally, I think she's a fantastic unit to have right now, especially if you can unlock her outfit. Having another reliable way to cleanse your commander is incredibly valuable in the current meta. If I had to place her on my tier list, she'll go straight into the counter tier. If you have the chance to unlock her, go for it. That's exactly why support units are so valuable. They perform really well even at lower reborn levels, letting you invest your resources into your main carries first, while they continue doing their job. And that's it for today's video. I'm really curious to see what crazy combos the community comes up with over the next few weeks, so if you discover something fun or completely broken, let me know down in the comments. I love to check it out. If this guide helped you, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more guides, tips, and updates. It really helps support the channel and lets me keep making more content for you guys. Thanks for watching and see you next time. Bye!
Woo!